and good morning 9th standard, and welcome to the online classes of Vinay Small Window Secondary School. This is Sanchita, your SST teacher, and today we are going to do the second part of the video that we started yesterday. So we did start with the history, chapter number 4, Forest Society and Colonization or Colonism. So far we have studied in this chapter regarding how the things went on and what is the way Britishers exploit the Indian forest. As I told you that the British rule of 200 years exploited Indians in many ways. Like they exploited and they even exploited mentally, physically and the resources which we led in this particular thing. So in the last video we just read that how the things went on, and today we are going to learn a new thing, that is the rise of commercial forestry. So I can say that the rise of commercial forestry or the commercial farming actually started taking place during the British rule. Britishers saw India as a place where there is a huge raw materials in the form of natural resources. So they started exploiting it and started sending machine-made goods over here. So the previous section we have seen the British needed forest in order to build ships and railways. We did see that they cut the sal trees like anything because they wanted to make the slippers and the railway tracks. So even they were worried that the use of forest by local people and the reckless felling of trees by traders would destroy forests. So they decided to invite a German expert by name Dietrich Brandis for advice, and they made him the first Inspector General of Forest in India. So this is a MCQ question, that who was the first Inspector General of Forest in India. That was a German person by name Dietrich Brandis. So Brandis realized that a proper system need to be introduced in India so that there can be a proper plantation. Otherwise, if they go on exploiting the forest which is laid in India, there will be no forest, so there will be nothing left for the commercial things after 40 years. Britishers never thought that they are going to leave India for a sense, but they were just like this, that we need to plant, and this particular system he named as a scientific forestry. So he also wanted that there should be a legal sanction when you are cutting the trees and everything, and the forest could be preserved for the timber production. So in this way he just mentioned the things in his the excavations which he has done, and then he came out with something else. So now you can see here that one asile of a managed poplar forest in Tuscany, Italy. So poplar forests are good mainly for timber. They are not used for leaves, fruits or other products. Look at the straight lines of the trees, you can see all of a uniform height. This is the model that scientific forestry has promoted. So what happened, that Brandis set up the Indian Forest Service in 1864, and he helped formulate the first Indian Forest Act, which actually enacted in 1865. So this Imperial Forest Research Institute came into Dehradun, UK now, that is Uttarakhand, in 1906, and this system they actually told us scientific forestry, but if you just see it clearly, this is not at all scientific at all. So what they decided in scientific forestry, that natural forest need a different type of forest to be cut down. So in this place we are going to just rope a particular plant which will go in a uniform height and will provide winter, and that they called as plantation. So forest officials surveyed that area, estimated the area of different type of trees and made working plans for forest management, and they planned that how much plantation area need to be cut every year. The area cut was then to be replanted so that it was ready to be cut again after some years. So this is again figure 10 of Deodar plantation in Kangra, 1933. Kangra again is a place in Himachal Pradesh. So after the Forest Act, which was enacted in 1865, it was amended twice. That means they made changes to twice, and it was in 1878 and 1927, both during the British rule. And the act divided the forest into three categories: reserved, protected and village forest. Now what is that? The best forests were called the reserve forest. Villagers could not take anything from this forest, even for their own use. For house building or fuel, they could take wood from protected or village forest. So reserve they are not going to touch. This is again the figure of Imperial Forest School, Dehradun, India, which is still there, and those officers who get into the Indian Civil Service and Indian Forest Service, they actually get trained at this place today also. So now we are coming that how were the lives of people affected when they decided and divided forest in three categories. How did it affect the life of the people? So foresters and villagers, they have different idea that what a good forest should look like, obviously, and villagers wanted a forest which should be a mixture of species to satisfy different needs like fuel, fodder and leaves. Fuel for their daily use, fodder for their animals, and leaves for their own use as well as for the animals. So, but the forest department had something else in their mind. They wanted something for the building, ships or railways, and they needed trees that could provide hard wood and the tall and straight, like we saw the Italy pick. So particular species like teak and sal were promoted and others were cut because they really do not want that one. Now this figure you can see, this is a mahua plant. The villagers, you can see they are collecting mahua. This is known as Maduta indica from the forest. So villagers wake up in the morning and go to the forest to collect the mahua flowers, which is foreign on the forest flower. So mahua trees are precious because mahua flowers can be eaten or used to make alcohol, and the seeds can be used to make oil. Today also mahua plant is used in many cosmetics and as to make some sort of hard drinks. So again you can see that villagers are trying tendu leaves. Now tendu leaves is used to prepare tobacco. So the sale of tendu leaves is a major source of income for many people living in forest. Each bundle contains approximately 50 leaves, and if a person works very hard, they can collect up to 100 leaves a day. And women, children and old men are the main collectors. So this is a current scenario. You can see if you go to the places like MP, Chhattisgarh and these places, you will see villagers collecting this tendu leaves. Now in forest areas, people use forest products for obviously roots, leaves, fruits and tubers. Tubers का मतलब होता है जैसे शलगम and all this type of things. They are nutritious to eat, especially during the monsoon when before the harvesters come. Herbs are used for medicines. For example, tulsi. I can take the example of tulsi, which is a herb and which is of medicinal purpose. Good for agriculture implements like yokes and blocks. अगर आपको हल वल बनाना है उसके लिए भी आपको ये चाहिए. Bamboo makes excellent fences. Bamboo की मदद से आप fence बना सकते हो, अपने घर के बाहर boundary create कर सकते हैं. And also it is used to prepare baskets and umbrellas. So a dried scooped gourd can be used as a potable water bottle. Now it is actually a kind of thing. It's a kind of gourd. एक लौकी टाइप का स्ट्रक्चर होता है, एक पर्टिकुलर वेजिटेबल होता है जिसको अगर आप सुखा देते हैं तो आप उसको वाटर बोतल की तरह कैरी कर सकते हैं. Then almost everything is available in the forest. Like leaves can be stretched and you can make it plates and cups. अगर आपने कभी पत्तों पे खाना खाया है, so dried leaves से जो बनता है, that can also be prepared. That is known as siadi, that is bahu, dinia, ubali. Creeper can be used to make ropes, रस्सी बनाने के लिए. And the thorny bark of the simon, that is silk cotton tree, is used to grate vegetables. So oil for cooking and to light lamps can be pressed from the fruit of mahua tree. So mahua के पौधों को, उसके fruits को press करने से उसमें से oil निकलता है और उससे आप lamps भी जला सकते हैं. So many uses were there. But Forest Act actually serves a hardship because after the act you cannot cut wood for their houses, you cannot take your cattle over there, you cannot collect fruits and roots, you cannot go for the hunting and fishing. Everything becomes illegal. So people were now forced to steal wood from the forest, and if they were caught, they were at the mercy of the forest guards who would take bribes, means rishwat, from them. Women who collected firewood were especially worried. It was also common for police constables and forest guards to harass them or harass people by demanding free fruit from them. And if you know, still today these things are actually getting there. So how did forest rules affect cultivation? Or definitely it actually affected cultivation not for the commercial cropping but for the other kind of thing. Now we can see the figure here, that is figure 15. Tonga cultivation was a system in which local farmers were allowed to cultivate temporarily within a plantation. In this photo, which is taken in Tharwadi division in Burma, Myanmar, in 1921, the collectors are sowing paddy, rice plantation. The men make holes in the soil using long bamboo poles with iron tips. The women sow paddy in each hole. food. If you see the videos how crops is planted, especially rice, you will understand what is the process of this. So one of the major impacts of the European colonization was the practice of shifting cultivation of Sweden agriculture. Okay, so please remember that the shifting cultivation is also known as the Sweden agriculture, and this is a traditional practice in many parts of Asia, Africa and South America, and it has many local names. Like in Southeast Asia it is known as leding, in Central America it is milpa, in Africa it is known as jitman or teri. Sri Lanka it is known as chena, and if we say about India it is known as Dha, Penda, Bewar, Nevar, Jhom, Podu, Khankhat and Kumri, which is actually a local terms for Sweden agriculture. Now we'll understand what is this. So in shifting cultivation, what will happen? Part of some forests are cut and burnt in rotation. If you have seen during the Diwali time and everything, फसल को जलाते हैं, like not फसल को जलाते हैं, but actually whatever is remaining, they actually burned that one, and because of that they feel that the soil becomes more fertile for the next cultivation, and that is because if you see during the Diwali time or something, it gets actually mixed up with the fog and it creates new kind of problem that is happening from some years, from past some years in India. During Diwali time and everything, you will feel that there is a dense fog. Actually the fog is getting mixed with the smoke, and that creates something called smog. So this is that particular thing. So what is happening, the seeds are sown in the ashes after the first monsoon rains, I can say after June, and the crop is harvested by October, November. Such plots are cultivated for a couple of years, and then it is left for 12 to 18 years to do. So a mixture of crops is plotted in these plots, and in central India and Africa it can be millets, bajra and everything. In Brazil mayamik, and in other parts of Latin America maize and beans. So different देशों का different ये इस तरह से था. यूरोपियन फॉरेस्ट की बात करें, उनको लगता था कि ये पर्टिकुलर जो प्रोसेस है ये काफ़ी हार्मफुल है, और इससे जो है हमें तो हर साल टिम्बर्स चाहिए रेलवे के लिए, वो हमें नहीं मिल पाएगा. When a forest was burnt, there was 8 branches of flames spreading and burning valuable timber. Like you can see that the Amazon forest, if something happened, अगर थोड़ी सी भी आग लग जाती है तो उस फॉरेस्ट में आग बुझाना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So shifting and cultivation is also harder for the government to calculate taxes, obviously. Therefore the government decided to ban shifting cultivation. As a result, many communities were forcibly displaced from their homes in the forest. Some had to change their occupations, while some resisted through large and small rebellions. अभी भी छुप के ये काम होता है, because इससे अब तो फॉरेस्ट वगैरह इतने नहीं रहे, लेकिन फिर भी ये प्रॉब्लम्स होती है. हम सुनते हैं कि अचानक से फॉरेस्ट में आग लग गई है, सो ये एक इशू हो जाता है. सो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं, दिस इज अ पिक्चर ऑफ शिफ्टिंग ए कल्टीवेशन. इसमें फॉरेस्ट को क्लियर किया जा रहा है. स्लोप्स या हिल्स में होता है, मोस्टली स्लोपिंग एरिया में होगा. ट्रीज कट हो जाती है, उसके बाद में उनको बर्न कर दिया जाता है, एशेस बना दिए जाते हैं. सीड्स आर देन स्कैटर्ड, उनको सीड्स जो आपको लगाने हैं उसको स्कैटर कर दिया जाता है एंड रेन के लिए छोड़ दिया जाता है. नाउ द क्वेश्चन कम्स, हु कुड हंट, अब कौन जा सकते थे. सो अब इसके लिए ये हुआ कि जो भी फॉरेस्ट लॉज के अकॉर्डिंग अब ये होने लगा, जो फॉरेस्ट के पास में रहते हैं, जो उसमें रहते हैं, दे कैन एक्चुअली हंट डियर, पेट विचेस और वैरायटी ऑफ स्मॉल एनिमल्स. सो ये सारी चीज़ें भी एक्चुअली में अब बंद हो गई, बिकॉज ये इलीगल हो गया. अगर आप पोचिंग कर रहे हैं, पोचिंग का मतलब है कि अगर आप शिकार लगा रहे हैं, शिकार के लिए बैठे हैं, तो ये क्रिमिनल एक्टिविटी है. तो लेकिन इसका क्या असर हुआ. सो फॉरेस्ट लॉज डिप्राइव पीपल ऑफ द कस्टमरी राइट्स टू हंटिंग ऑफ बिग गेम बिकम अ स्पॉट. विलेजर्स को, लोकल लोगों को उन्होंने मना कर दिया, बट एक्चुअली इट बिकम अ स्पॉट फॉर द बिग पीपल. लाइक हाउ in India, hunting of tigers and other animals has been part of the culture of the court and nobility for centuries. Many Mughal paintings show princes and emperors enjoying a hunt. हमने काफ़ी पिक्चर्स देखी है कि जो बादशाह एंड एम्परर, they used to like and go for a hunt, go for a forest and want to kill tigers or lions. So but under British rule, the scale of hunting and it becomes almost extinct because the major species are getting extinct. So in the British saw large animals as a sign of wild, primitive and savage society. They believed that by killing dangerous animals, the British could civilize in India. So उनको लगता था ये जो फॉरेस्ट है इसमें इतने बड़े बड़े एनिमल्स, अगर हम इसको मार देते हैं तो अच्छा अच्छा रहेगा। इंडिया को तो वैसे भी उनको सिविलाइज करना था, उनको लगता था हमें कुछ आता नहीं है, हमें उनको सिविलाइज करना है, तो उसके लिए हमारे बिग कैट्स को भी मारना बहुत ज़रूरी है। सो दे गेव रिवार्ड्स फॉर द किलिंग ऑफ टाइगर्स, wolves and other animals on the ground. Now you please see the figures. Over 80,000 tigers, 1,50,000 leopards and 2 lakh wolves, yani longriya, were killed for the reward in the period of 1875 to 1925. Gradually the tiger came to be seen as a sporting trophy because the Maharaja of Sarguja alone shot 1,157 tigers and 2,000 leopards up to 1957. Now these people are responsible for the condition we are in today. A British administrator, George Yule, killed 400 tigers. Initially, certain areas of forest were reserved for hunting. Only much later did environmentalists and this conservators began to argue that these species of animal need to be protected and not killed. And so they came and saved the tiger, saved the lion and everything. Now please save this figure. This is a lot raiding hunting in Nepal. Can you see the dead bodies of Royal Bengal tiger? So count the dead tigers in the photo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When British officials, colonial officials and Rajas went hunting, they were accompanied by a whole retinue of servants. Can you see over here? Usually the tracking was done by skilled village hunters and the Sahib simply fired a shot. उनको नहीं आता था, ये सब करके रखते थे, वो आके सिर्फ शॉट मारते थे और ये उनका काम था। अब आप प्लीज सोर्स आप पढ़ लीजिएगा। सोर्स में यही बताया जा रहा है कि ये उस टाइम का लिखा हुआ है 1939 में वेरिएबल एडल ने इसको लिखा था। सो यू कैन रीड अबाउट इट कि क्या कंडीशंस हो रही थी उसमें। उसके बाद में हम आते हैं न्यू फेस, न्यू एम्प्लॉयमेंट्स एंड न्यू सर्विसेज में। तो अब इसके बाद में ये होने लगा कि लोगों को काम नहीं था, उनके पास में कुछ भी नहीं बचा था, जो कम्युनिटीज़ थी वो फॉरेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स नहीं कर पा रही थी। तो ये हर जगह, ये इंडिया में नहीं हुआ, ये हर जगह हुआ, मोस्टली जहाँ पे ब्रिटिश कॉलोनाइजेशन था। अगर हम एग्जाम्पल करें, रबर की डिमांड मिड 19th सेंचुरी में बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई थी। सो ब्राज़ील के पास ही अमेजोन रिवर है और अमेजोन फॉरेस्ट है, रेन फॉरेस्ट है। वहाँ के जो लोकल पीपल हैं उनका नाम है मुंडुरुचु। सो ये क्या करते हैं, वहाँ पे रबर प्लांटेशन होता है, तो ये लेटेक्स, जो रबर का प्लांट आप काटते हो, जो चीज़ निकलती है उसको हम लेटेक्स कहते हैं, जो अनरिफाइंड होती है उससे रबर बनता है। सो ये ट्रेडर्स को सप्लाई करने लगे। उसके बाद में उन पे भी काफ़ी तरह की बंदिशें लग गई और वो ये नहीं कर पा रहे थे। दे वर कम्प्लीटली डिपेंडेंट ऑन ट्रेडर्स। इंडिया की बात करें तो फॉरेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स यहाँ पे नए नहीं थे। मीडिएवल पीरियड की हम बात करें तो आदिवासी कम्युनिटीज़ जो थी वो एलिफेंट्स एंड अदर बर्ड्स लाइक हाइड्स, हॉर्न्स, सिल्क, कोकोस, आइवरी, हाथी दांत, bamboos, spices, fibers, grasses, gums and resins. These are all the products of which is today also used and we get it from forest through nomadic communities like the Banjaras. हमें बंजारा से ये सब यहाँ पे मिलता था, तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट होने लगा। अगेन देयर इज अ सोर्स डी, रबर एक्सट्रैक्शन की बात हो रही है। 1992 में ये लिखा गया था। Just read this one. This is again they are giving us case study that जो Amazon rain forest से जो एक्सट्रैक्शन हो रहा था रबर का, उसकी हालात क्या थे। तो जस्ट रीड दैट वन। सो अगेन अगर हम बात करें, विद द कमिंग ऑफ द ब्रिटिश, ट्रेड वाज कम्प्लीटली रेगुलेटेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट। इधर ब्रिटिशर्स के जाने के बाद आज इंडियन गवर्नमेंट इसको हैंडल करती है। सो ट्रेड इन्होंने क्या किया था ड्यूरिंग देयर टाइम, यूरोपियन ट्रेडिंग फार्मर्स को एक सोल राइट दे दिया था, ट्रेड करो इंडिया में। ग्रेजिंग, हंटिंग लोगों का रेस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया। नोमैडिक कम्युनिटीज़ थी हमारे देश की, जो कोरावा, कराचा एंड ब्यूरोक्रेसी ऑफ द मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी, तमिलनाडु साइड में, उनको खाने पीने का कुछ नहीं रहा। ये सारे के सारे बाद में क्रिमिनल ट्रायल्स बन गए बिकॉज दे वर फोर्स्ड टू डू द क्राइम बिकॉज वी वर नॉट अलाउइंग देम टू डू देयर लिवलीहुड। So and then they were forced to work in factories, mines and plantations under government supervision. This new opportunities of work actually did not go well with the people. In Assam की अगर हम बात करें, both men and women from forest communities like Santhals and Oras from Jharkhand and Gors from Chhattisgarh were recruited to work on tea and coffee plantations. Their wages were really low and the conditions were pathetic. They could not return easily to their home villages from where they have been recruited. So that's all for the today's video. This is a really easy chapter, just read this one. We are actually trying to tell you that how the history affected the condition which you see in India, that we are lacking forestry, we do not have tigers, we do not have birds. I mean, they are getting extinct day by day. It is actually This is our own things which has been done, which was imposed on India. So please read this one. I guess it will be really